You're listening to the Heroes Power Hour presented by BlizzPro.com. Your hosts, Balrog fan, Zexorus, and DJ Tyrant. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Heroes Power Hour. This is episode number 102, and man, we are excited to be back. We had a little bit of a break there as I was out of town, but welcome again to the Heroes Power Hour. We're a Heroes Storm podcast brought to you by BlizzPro.com and partnered with Legion by Lenovo and Intel. We have a lot to catch up on. I don't think we're going to be able to catch all the news, but we tried something a little new just before the show. Balrog fan, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, due to the nature of like our work schedules and stuff and just various things, doing the after show games had become to a point where we were kind of just squeezing one or two in just to do it, but we weren't really doing anything serious with them. And most of the time they were with minimal effort because we were pretty tired. So what we decided to do was start doing pre-show games, and in the spirit of how we've been playing the game lately, where we're actually trying to reacclimate ourselves with the game. We had kind of all grown a little complacent and not playing with each other as much and just doing our own things for the most part, and this has really helped us focus. So we're going to be doing tryhard games before the show starts. So 2 hours beforehand now. Just show up, hang out with us. We'll probably be playing Unranked and Team League with faces of the show and people who have been on before. I know Digi will probably be there, Aya will be there, people like that. So 3-0 to start today, no complaints there. So
yeah,
happy with
no,
this
there were some really crazy games. Like the first game that we won was Infernal Shrines, and it went to like 27, 28 minutes, I think. The start of it was really rough, I'll say, but we were able to acclimate to their team comp, and once we realized that they had to Jaina, so Ring of Frost was really what was killing us. Once we realized that trying to either bait it out or not go in too hard until that got dropped really helped us out. Zex, I know you kind of want to talk a little bit about our games and just how they went and how fun they were, really, to be honest.
Yeah, it was. I'll say this. I've been, since Charlie started this little project before we started taking it on stream. Last week? Feels like maybe a couple weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know.
Excuse me. I'm on the back end of a lung bug that really wrecked me the past couple weeks. He started this project, and I jumped right in. I was like, yes, try hard. Let's do it. I want to see how this goes. I like playing with. We used to play chair league. All of us used to play chair league together, and it was great. I had a lot of fun doing it. I liked taking the game seriously. We put in effort, and we tried things. And now we're kind of approaching it from a different mindset of, let's get better at things we're not good at. And we've been trying new things. Like I was playing Alarak the other day, and because I admit my mouse positioning is garbage. Like every once in a while you'll see a random direction drag or hungering arrow, and that's completely on me. And I feel that like learning a character like Alarak will really, really help with that, because mouse positioning, especially when you're using quick cast, is absolutely crucial to playing a good Alarak, which will then in turn help me overall with things, with other heroes. I'll be more aware of where my mouse positioning is, stuff like that, which will in turn lead to more damage, stuff like that, better saves. And like it's been fun because I do feel myself getting better as a player now, And as communication as a team. We're making shot calls. We're listening to each other, and it's just been a blast. Like I have not had this much fun with Heroes in a long time. Like I usually loathe playing solo. Like
it's rough,
man. And I'll admit, Charlie, you're kind of the linchpin in this, because if you're not playing, my will to play is like, maybe I'll go play that bad Overwatch game, Paladins, that bad knockoff, because it's on my PS4 and it was free. So maybe,
yeah.
I mean, go ahead.
Okay, and talking about roles that we're not really normally accustomed to, I've been playing a lot of Anubarak, which has been really fun. I really enjoy that hero, and especially with where he is in the meta right now, makes him a lot of fun. And it's one of those heroes, kind of like P-Flame was talking about Leoric. I don't think it was on the show, but it was when we were playing that. Every ability feels like impactful. It feels like you're doing something every time you're pushing a button, which is really fun. And man, peeling with Anubarak, when you get those saves like down, it's really cool. And also I played Vikings again, who I haven't played in I don't know how long, but that was definitely fun. And I'm surprised we won that game, to be honest, because it was a rough start, another rough start game. But
Vikings kept us within striking distance of them the whole game. Like that game where we just hit 20, and I took on the boss. I had just taken Spectral Leech, and then I got that kill on Anubarak because I'm doing 5% of his health every punch on top of the constantly drain hoping. You know, it would, like Anubarak. I don't know why he didn't just burrow charge out, like. He could have burrow charged down towards the boss, and we would have lost the boss, and probably the game at that point. But I got so much extra damage in because of just that one decision he made that we ended up. Was it me and you? It was
it was me and you.
And we ended up stalling at the boss just long enough for Charlie and Carl to get there, and we ended up like taking the boss back, and it was just. Really solid decision making overall.
I want to throw it over to Carl.
Yeah,
mainly
I know,
because
he's been quiet.
and talking about game 2, because he kind of called his shots there for the team we were going to run there, and that was a lot of fun, Carl.
So we watched HGC, and I watched B-Step play this Abertha Grey Material comp, and they played it terribly, and I was like, I bet we can do it better, and we did.
Oh my goodness!
Perfection against the same level of competition too.
Exact same level of competition. They were basically no tomorrow.
Yeah. No, we kind of dumpstered those guys.
Let's not trash talk No Tomorrow.
That was a joke about our skill level, not No Tomorrow.
That was a joke about
us overvaluing
material, maybe.
But yeah, I mean, I really appreciate you trusting me on Tyrael there, because it had been a while, and I don't know, working out.
Yeah, I know you've got a solid Tyrael.
I always relish the chance to play Haka. I just love Haka. He's so much fun.
Yeah, the presence he gives is pretty great. It just overall, it's been a much better week in games for us, heroes wise, I think, and you can all kind of hear it in our voices, except Carl, who's just. There's a smile.
Oh my goodness! But yeah, we had the Nexus Challenge finish up, and I think we all finished that pretty easily. I mean, if we play Heroes regularly, you're gonna be able to finish that easily. But now, hopefully, we have people sticking with the game who actually want to play it and aren't there just for free skins. I know there's been some really interesting encounters with people because of this whole promotion, and hopefully game quality increases. We'll be talking a little bit more about that in another segment, but our first segment, which we haven't had this in forever, but I'm super excited to be talking about this because we're bringing back the build of the week. We're going to be talking about Uther, and our resident Uther player, Balrog fan BP, is going to be taking us through this, and I'll throw up the talents in just a bit, and take it away.
So Uther, he's a hero that I've played for a while now. His base kit, I'm just going to be quick with it because I assume most people understand the spells that Uther has. But he has a 1 heal. It's a fairly big heal, and now it adds 25% armor on base for cast. So you got to kind of figure that in with all of his abilities, that heal. Anytime heroes are healed, including when he heals himself, 25 armor, which translates to 25% damage reduction. Holy Light, big heal, 12-second cooldown. Holy Radiance, another 12-second cooldown on his heal, but with the quest that you take, you can kind of make that your faster, more reliable heal. Plus, it hits heroes and enemies, so any heroes it hits, it heals, applies the armor, and hits the enemies. It's just a good spell. And then Hammer of Justice is stun.
Well met.
Uther's an aggressive hero. Yeah. You're going to be using that hammer. It's a stun for 0.75 seconds. It's just good. 2 heroic choices. I pretty much exclusively go Divine Shield. That's not to say that Divine Storm is bad. I see a lot of plays get made with Divine Storm. I just prefer playing more judiciously with Uther, and I think Divine Storm kind of lends itself to that play style for sure. Plus, you can create situations where your opponent wastes damage or wastes heroics, and that's always a plus.
Okay, so
may I interject?
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Dexterous.
And Charlie's completely right. However, I am more of a Divine Storm kind of guy because I like getting in there. I especially like towards late game where you can pull off some nasty combos with Divine Storm just to lock a comp down. Almost, at least one person just entirely. Divine Storm, I think, definitely favors like aggressive play, but you need your team to back you up. Otherwise, you're just going to get blown up 100% of the time.
I will agree that Divine Storm is better in the late game. My only argument is Divine Shield gets my team to the late game more often with a lead than Divine Storm does.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
You had a question, DJ?
Yeah, I was just curious overall how you think he feels now with this rework versus how he kind of was before. Even far enough back to where he was getting picked at the highest levels.
Well, Uther feels a lot better now simply because of that trait change. You can and obviously some changes to the talent trees were very important for him as well. Obviously, old Uther, it was the piano build where you set skills to 1, 2, 3, or 4, and you had 8 buttons to keep track of, and you were a very reactionary healer, and that was fine back in the day. But once more healers started coming out with better abilities, like things started to turn against Uther a little bit around Charism's release, and then it was just a slow, steady downfall from there. Every
that and the buff to Malfurion, I think, really kind of hurt him.
That was definitely the final nail in the coffin. I started noticing his lack of effectiveness compared to how he used to be around the time Charism was breaking in, and he still had his moments, but I'm just really happy where he's at now, to answer your question. I'd say he definitely is more viable.
Part of it was just meta because Uther's a burst healer, and we've been in a sustained meta for a really long time now.
Yeah.
But I think he's just good enough at this point that regardless of meta, he's a great pick.
Yeah, I see him often used in a double support comp, which I don't use as much. I mean, I generally feel comfortable with solo healing Uther, and that's kind of the build I'm gonna show here, because I think it's a disservice to only play him in a 2 support comp. I think he's first pick worthy. I think he's solo heals worthy, and so yeah, we'll jump into the build here. At level 1, I don't think there's. I mean, Silver Touch is okay at best, but this is pretty much always Wave of Light for a couple of reasons. The main one is the reward for finishing the quest, and the quest, of course, is heal or damage heroes 60 times with the W, the Holy Radiance. When you do that, your devotion lasts an additional second, so that's an extra full second of armor on all your abilities that heal. It's really important in team fights. It's very impactful, and it's a very easy quest to complete. You complete it almost every game without trying, and often fairly early. And the other main part of this quest that's very helpful is damaging or healing heroes with Holy Radiance refunds 8 mana and reduces cooldown by 1 second. So every time you use it to damage or heal heroes, it refunds mana and reduces the cooldown. Now this is per hero hit, so 12-second cooldown. If you hit 6 people, it's a reset pretty much. And
yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's not very often. It's usually you're going to chunk a second or two off, but it is very helpful.
That second or two adds up over time as well.
Definitely. That's what makes his W feel a little more free to use most of the time, I feel. Number 4 is now Holy Fire. This is just your classic like Burning Rage ability. The only difference is every attack you do against a hero can increase the damage by 20% for 3 seconds, and you can stack that 3 times. So it kind of lends itself to basic attacking with Uther quite a bit. It's very good. I don't think there's much else. Pursuit of Justice is okay. I don't have a use for it as much as I do Holy Fire, but I mean, we've talked about it before, right, guys? I've made the joke about it. He doesn't. It gives him wave clear, which he never had before. Not in a way that was useful. This lets him stay in lanes a little better. It lets him contest the early game better. It lets him rotate the camps, and he like Holy Fire makes me feel safer starting camps. I've started camps a lot more for other people when I know a rotation is coming, just to get the extra damage on there. Little parts of the game that end up making a big difference overall. That's kind of the nature of Holy Fire. It's just a whole nother dimension that allows you to play him a little differently, a little more aggressively, and that's helpful.
And New Uther is definitely a frontliner. You're super rewarded for being in their face. So Holy Fire, just you're gonna a little bit extra damage in a team fight, and sometimes a little bit extra damage, and you got your extra heals you're gonna pop off, and you make the difference.
Yeah, I totally agree. With the frontline nature of him, that's part of it. Normally, you wouldn't think of taking something like this on pretty much every healer outside of Charism, I would imagine. But it definitely feels at home on Uther. Level 7, I don't think there's any real argument here. Guardian of Ancient Kings. It's so good. So anytime you heal anybody who's stunned, rooted, or silenced, the armor bonus they receive from your heals is jacked up from 25 to 75. 75% reduction when somebody's in stun or root and they are in danger of dying is very helpful. For people playing against Uther, keep that in mind. Don't think just because you hit a stun on somebody, if there's an Uther nearby, that kill is guaranteed, because you might have to wait out those 2 seconds, because if you blow all your abilities during that time, you're wasting damage.
If you ever question this talent, I want to direct you to the B-Step Team Freedom Game 4. that talent single-handedly won the game. Like, Team Freedom could not lose because they have Guardian of Ancient Kings. They could have just ran it down mid with Guardian of Ancient Kings and would have won the game.
I unfortunately missed HGC this week. I was pretty busy. What was the situation of that, though? What was the stun that was in that was really...
So, B-Step picked a stun lock comp. I think it was Misha, but they definitely had, Tyrande, and... I don't remember the comp, but it was kind of like an old school B-Step style. We're gonna stun lock one person, we're gonna blow them up, and we're gonna win a team fight because now it's 5v4. And after level 7, somebody got hit with a stun, and then they got hit with an Uther heal, and they didn't die.
Yeah.
And sometimes they would even try and stun Diablo because it was the only one close enough, and then he had the Black Soulstone thing for extra health and extra magic resist, and then Uther gave him 75 armor.
Yeah. That's...
What do you do?
Right. That's the beauty of this talent. It really is. I mean, and that was what I was talking about, playing him judiciously too. You got to remember, you don't want to, if someone's in danger and they just got stunned, you don't want to blow both heals on them. What you want to do is space them out by at least 2 seconds so they get a full 4 seconds of 75% reduction. That's important to keep in mind when you're using Uther. Level 10, we kind of talked about that already. I like Divine Shield. I excel at twitchy reacts for the most part. I have my bad moments for sure, but I like the feeling of hitting somebody with a Divine Shield, moments before they're going to die after the enemy has committed. It usually leads to a lot of favorable trades.
You yelled at me in that what was it?
Oh yeah, you were away from Mike, and it was in you were
Vala. I was Vala.
That was the first game.
I was running away.
Oh
and all of a sudden I see Unstoppable. Get back in there!
Well, and I told Carl this too. You were off mic. I'm like, in my mind, I hear everything so clearly. I'm like, okay, this Illidan has been diving on us all game. I'm gonna wait out his hunt. The second he hunts somebody, I'm gonna give that Divine Shield to him. They're gonna go in on and it just came out as a scream that really could have been portrayed better. Go at him! All right, so here's the meat of it. I'm still learning to do this better, but level 13, Blessed Champion. This coincides with Holy Fire and the restacking, obviously, but for the next 5 seconds after using Holy Light, Uther's basic attacks heal him and nearby allies for 15% of the total damage, for 15% of the total amount healed by Holy Light. So this isn't based, like, a lot of people kind of brush over this talent because it sounded like one of his old talents where his heals were based off of his attack damage. These heals are based off the amount of the Holy Light damage, which is significant at level 13. It's very important when you're clearing camps, obviously. If you go into a camp a little hit up, heal one of your guys, start wailing away on a minion, suddenly your whole team that's helping you clear your camp is getting heals based off of your basic attacks. And all you did was blow one heal. You want to be aggressive in team fights. Willie was actually played a game with Uther last week and played him better than me in that sense where he had a lot of healing in the late game because of all the auto attacking he was doing.
Yeah. And it was fun. I had a blast with it, Like Uther is one of those champions I've had mastered, but I just, it's the nature of support. Like I don't consider myself a good support, but now Uther, in my opinion, is a good support and a good frontliner. So
That's crazy. It sounds like someone I need to learn again.
Yeah, I mean and what's great about it too is a lot of people were turned off on Uther because of the 8 buttons was the way to play him, and it was kind of a lot of work for a little payoff. That is no longer the case anymore. He's someone that you can jump into and get a feel for and learn and not feel like you're stressing yourself out to do it.
And like they really kind of nailed finally after 3 years or whatever, like the tank support feel for Uther.
Yeah.
Right. They had 3 different mini reworks to try and make to say, okay, yeah, Uther's the tanky support to define him as in that role. But now with the self heals and with he just has buffed health, and then it's like, okay, so now you have the sustain to go in, and then you have talents like the 13 that reward you from being up on the front line. And it's suddenly like all his kit kind of comes together, and you're like, yeah, I want to be in their face. I want to be up there standing next to my tanks and not just like hiding behind my Kael'thas waiting to give him a divine shield, and that's my only purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the exciting part about playing him. Really, it is. It's nice to feel kind of a new role develop that, like I've said, I can only really compare him to Charism now because no one can be as aggressive as him other than Charism. I don't think there's any other healers that feel this aggressive anyways. Level 16, Benediction. That's because of Uther's giant cooldowns. Benediction, just you can tap your one button, hit your Q, and then your Q's back up in 1 second. It's good. It's the one extra button you got to use, and it's well worth it.
On the opposite end, you can do that sick triple stun combo with Benediction.
That too, yes.
There you go.
Or as I've now termed it, the well met.
Yes, the well met. If you absolutely
with the Divine Storm,
you run in, hammer justice somebody, Divine Storm, and then Benedict hammer somebody.
Yeah,
triple stun. It locks them down forever. If you've got a team behind you, they're dead. like, what do you do against 3 seconds of stun and everyone?
B-Step know about that.
Send him a message. Yeah, I think Benediction. If you absolutely don't like having an extra button, you don't want to play with an extra button. I'd say Beacon of Light could probably be okay here. I encourage players to get good with Benediction, but Beacon of Light is not terrible.
I do see value in Tears Deliverance, though, especially in double healer comps.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Again, though,
yeah,
I feel like Benediction is better.
It is
in either one.
You're not.
Yeah. And then I say level 20 is still Redemption. I messed around with Divine Protection for a while, and it just doesn't work as well as you'd like. The thing about late game Uther is your tankiness has kind of come online. You want to get procs off your Blessed Champion pick at 13. You want to get some extra damage on people with Holy Fire. If you die, it doesn't matter. You die, you're invincible for a while. You get to still heal your team. You don't get the great heals, but your heals still apply that devotion. So, and then you come right back and you're in the fight. You can be wherever you want depending on how you position yourself. It's just a superior level 20.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the build there. I don't feel there's a lot of deviation from it.
What was it? Bakery said someone asked Bakery about an Uther build, and he goes something Guardian of Ancient Kings, whatever.
And that's fair. I can't see a use for Hand of Protection on it, like compared to Guardian of the Ancient Kings. I think there has to be a situation where Hand of Protection might be a better play, just because it's it's cleanse that has a cooldown. But
I mean, maybe against I don't know, even Guardian against is still pretty good there. I think like against a Chromie, but if you just heal them before they snap back, then the Chromie's going to do 75% reduced damage anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I guess against Jaina, maybe. I don't know, because her burst damage is so high that she can kind of push through the shield if someone else is supporting her. So if you want to unstoppable someone off of Ring of Frost. But yeah. It's few and far between. We're obviously reaching. And yeah, I'd say he fits well on most teams. I don't think there's a team that he doesn't work on. Like, there's nobody I can think of where I always have a hard time healing heroes who are super twitchy because sometimes they dodge my W's. It's kind of a pain in the ass to play them with Tracer.
What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, right.
Oh my goodness.
You have a twitchy co-host.
Yes. So he fits in the meta good. He like I said, I can't think of a spot where he doesn't work. So pick up Uther, guys. Play him, learn him, try him, ask us questions at the Power Hour. I like playing Uther. You can ask me questions. I'll tell you things. I play with a lot of these guys. They're all pretty good players. They don't seem to mind my Uther, so.
No, I love your
Uther.
When you
there
get
have been
Uther,
a lot of fights where Charlie's Uther has just carried it.
Yeah.
Where it's like one of our main damage dealers is about to go down, and then all of a sudden there's a divine shield on them, and they just like kill 3 more people. And it's like, wow, that was the best divine shield I've ever seen in my entire life, except for the 6 he did yesterday.
Hey, that makes me feel good. But yeah, I mean that's the power of Uther. The divine shields, the ability to be in the front line, the ability to keep your team up. I mean, that's your job as a support. Keep your team alive. Do the best you can. Make good decisions when it comes to keeping your team alive. Know when someone needs to die for the betterment of either going 4 for 5 or going 1v5 or blah
1 for 5 or something.
Trading 1 for 5 or your team getting out and one person not. That's all I can offer unless any of you guys want to add anything or have any questions.
No, you're the resident expert as far as I'm concerned on Uther.
Yeah, I have no idea what I can absolutely bring to this discussion other than run at people's faces and tell them well met.
That's a good way to play him. It's a very satisfying
one. Like you mentioned, I healed a ton that game. Just because I was just so aggressive. I was always in people's faces. I was always hitting stuff. You know, and that AoE heal was just proccing constantly. You know,
For sure.
I was healing like, 600, 700 during the duration of that. You know, and that's just insane.
Yep. Get aggressive with them, and it pays dividends. So we're going to try to keep doing these. Obviously, I won't be leading the discussion on every heroes build because we've got wonderful players here who all have various heroes. They can give us their opinions and talk through them like I just did. We'll get DJ to do a Vikings. We'll get Carl to do a Kelthus for sure. Maybe a Vala. We'll have Zex do a Kerrigan. Definitely a Dahaka.
Yeah, Dahaka would definitely be cool.
And if there's interest in it, if you want me to, I'll write these guides up for the website post show. Just tweet at us or let us know if that's something you want.
Sounds good. Anyways, going back to kind of Heroes 2.0 as a whole, we didn't really see a whole lot of matchmaking changes, although it might be a part of the whole 2.0 release. It's supposed to be kind of a long-term kind of dealio that Blizzard is doing for Heroes. We had some really interesting ideas, though, brought up in a Reddit thread this past week. Reddit user Derek brought up some really interesting points that we want to talk about, especially for newer players coming into the game. And I thought these were really interesting. As his comment or their comment, player level does represent exposure to map and hero mechanics, though. Which is why there should be some small limitation on how highly brand new players can be seeded. And it really all focuses around the lack of MMR decay for people returning to Heroes. And feel free to jump into any of these points because I want this to be an open discussion. But first point was MMR should start to decay slowly after a couple months of not playing. I almost think that should be earlier, maybe like a month.
And I think that probably would fix a lot of problems it has. I think it's tough to sell that to players who are a little bit casual, but odds are if you haven't played in a month or two or three, you've gotten rusty, right, guys?
I think so.
I mean,
with how fast balance changes come out, I mean, it's really easy for that to happen.
Oh yeah, Carl, you're muted.
Yeah. It just really sucks when you come back after like 2 months break and you have to lose your first 10 games, because it's like, matchmaking thinks you're a 2,900 player, but you're really not right now. You've been playing StarCraft and you don't remember half these heroes.
It sounds kind of personal.
Sounds kind of personal. But a decay like that would really help just ease people back into the game, because sometimes you're like, I want to start playing Heroes again, and you start playing Heroes again and you lose 4 games in a row.
Yeah.
And do you want to keep playing Heroes at that point?
I think most games work like that. You walk away from it for a while and you just you don't have what you had when you were playing it a lot. So MMR decay sounds like a good solution, but I don't know why that isn't a thing already.
It kind of is. I think what Kaderic here is talking about is it should be sooner. Like, I understand that MMR goes through an adjustment at the start of every season, but I think what he wants is he wants it to happen sooner than the start of every season. Yeah, because I've noticed that my MMR has decayed quite badly from quick match and stuff, just because I haven't played quick match that much anymore, and especially unranked. Whereas now, according to Hot Sogs, I'm probably gonna end up being, what am I at right now? I'm at 2610. I could very well be 2740. In that range after that last game we played tonight. And that's just a side effect of me being gone for so long and the game going, hey, welcome back. You're at this point and now you've gone 11-1 and unranked. Here's this giant MMR boost, which personally I worry I'm not going to be able to hold on to.
Yeah.
Because at some point I'm going to get in my head I'm going to go play solo. But what Kaderic is talking about is it should happen sooner. Like if you don't log in for a month, you should be suffering from MMR decay because yes, you're going to be rusty. You're not going to click as well with the game as you used to. So
I think one of the best things too about like an MMR decay is you're not going to know what's happening. You're just going to like log into Heroes, 2 or 3 months later with an itch to play it, and you're going to probably be at least close to the rank where you should be rather than jumping in where you were. Because there is no MMR number next to
win
your
more
profile.
Games when you come back, and that's all it's going to be.
Yeah.
And you won't be in as many games where it's like, wow, this guy is feeding. What the heck is going on? Then you look at his profile and he played in 2 months.
Right.
It just be a more enjoyable experience for everybody for the first 10 games after you come back, basically.
And
yeah,
Jimmy, do you got anything you want to add to that, or do you have any insight as to?
I think you guys are pretty spot on. I mean, I think the MMR decay should be a little sooner than what they're suggesting, but I mean that's a decision to be made by Blizzard if they do decide to do this. And I think the second point is really on point. New players shouldn't be placed as high as Diamond 3. And their definition of new is first time ever playing Hero League with fewer than 200 total games played. It seems a little weird that they could get placed that high. I think P-Flame, you got placed pretty high your first season of Hero League, right?
My first season of Hero League, I did get placed Diamond 3 because I was rank 1.
Oh, that's right.
And then they
Based
kind
off
of
that.
they took people out of Diamond, and I didn't play as much, so I got placed Plat 1 this season. Trying to climb back into Diamond, but I don't even know that games need to be in there. I just think maybe your first season of Hero League you can't place higher than maybe Plat 3. And then after that, then now Diamond 3 is the hard cap for raising it. But just like, occasionally you're going to get somebody like, like a Dyrus who is actually phenomenal at MOBAs and is just transferring over to the game. But when he places in Plat 3,
he's just going to wreck through those
he's
games.
just gonna go up to Masters anyways, and it's take him an extra week.
Yeah.
Is that
right?
It's not a huge problem, but then you get these people who they're new to the game and they get kind of a lucky placement game where they're not you don't usually get terrible players in Diamond 3, but you get players who just are new to the game and hit a hot streak when they were doing their placements, and then it's like I don't know if you really need to be here. So lowering that initial one would just be nice.
Yeah, definitely. Any other thoughts from Zex or Balrog fan on this?
No, I mean it's pretty cut and dry there. I kind of agree. I mean I feel like if you get placed that high, it's a failing of the system and not a failing of the player.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about that. Like, I understand Carl's points, and I'm not going to say, like, I'm not going to disagree with them, but like, I just don't have the words to formulate an argument counter to Carl's. Like,
it does suck for the players who are genuinely like a Diamond 3 or above player, who are going to have to suffer through the Plat. But I think, honestly, there are fewer of those than there are the players getting put in mid-Diamond who don't deserve to be.
Right, and like you'd mentioned earlier, those people who would get placed, who should be placed Diamond 3, end up getting placed in Plat 3 instead, they're just simply going to rise up to the top anyways. Just by sheer nature of them being a superior player. So, like I said, I don't know how to feel about it, but I'm not against it. I'm not against that concept.
Okay, the third point, which I think is a little more difficult for me to get behind necessarily, and just how hard it would be implemented, is lost forgiveness in the form of personal rank adjustment They're saying it should be implemented for several things like playing with a bot for extended periods when a player repeatedly intentionally feeds to throw a game. That would be hard to truly tell exactly what is someone feeding, I feel like, and hopefully adjustment for playing better than your team but still losing. I mean, that I feel like if you go down that rabbit hole, you start encouraging players to only play damage dealers, because that's going to be so hard to determine that as a support, I did better than the rest of my team because I didn't die as much or something like that. I don't know, it's just
it needs to be stat. Needs to be class stat related, like how you have healing done, stuff like that. It needs to be tied to that.
I don't like it at all.
I don't either.
I don't like it. I don't like it either. I think it's stupid, but I'm thinking of trying how to make it viable.
That's something that would make sense in a league, in League of Legends, where everybody in that community is all about ranked is about my personal individual skill, and they want to be rewarded for I did my best, my teammates held me back or whatever. But Heroes of the Storm is not that game. Heroes of the Storm is a game about your team. And if your team lost, you lost, right? I don't care that you had no deaths and 80k hero damage. You did not work well with your team enough to win the game, and you deserve to lose those rank points.
Yeah, and this could hit the problem that Overwatch is kind of having, where the amount of points you get is based somehow. They've said somehow it's based on how people in your similar rank perform on that hero. So if you perform worse but win, you get less points. But if you perform better, and it goes both ways too. It's really weird. I don't understand how it works. It's not displayed anywhere, and that sounds like we're going down that path with heroes if this were something to be implemented.
I think the bot one is the only legitimate one. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing just you lose less points and you win less points if there's a bot on the involved, because it's just that's not actually a measurement of your ability to beat the other team, because they just missed a player, and if you're trying to have a holistic MMR system where it's a net neutral, then you just dump a whole bunch of lost MMR on the player who disconnected, which is generally accepted as the right thing. Is if they intentionally disconnected, they should definitely lose a lot of points, and if they lost their internet connection, it sucks, but they just ruined 9 players' other experience, and most people are willing to say, take all the extra rank points you need from them.
Yeah, there's that one game where I had a Tychus disconnect, and then an Uther just stayed in base the rest of the game and pinged the Tychus to him. There was people like that should be when the report, because they got reported. People like that should, honest to God, be limited to AI games and AI games only. Because at no point is that person going to bring a positive experience to any mode at all. Ever.
I mean,
it's not my job to...
People who act like that are a virus on the game.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the guy who pinged the guy and ran around in base, or the one who disconnected?
No, the guy who pinged the dude in base.
Yeah.
We could have still, tried to win with, an AI Tychus. But no, this Uther was just absolutely bent on dodging AFK detection and just pinging and keeping this Uther inside the base.
Oh my gosh.
That's
some next level, yeah. Oh my gosh.
But you just kind of have to report that.
That's taking it to an art form right there.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think I played Heroes the rest of the week when that happened. I was so incredibly tilted by that.
Yeah, that's a bad experience.
There's toxic, mute them, and then there's toxic, sit in the corner.
At the end of the day, though, I mean, with matchmaking, it's always going to come down to faster queue times or better matches.
Mm-hmm.
Carl, which do you prefer?
Better matches.
Really?
Better matches, hands down. Like
Jimmy?
I would rather wait 5 minutes for a better match.
Better matches.
Yeah, I mean, I do hate waiting for, like, when it gets into that 7, 8, 9 minute mark and it happens, like, you're trying to get a good session going. I have enjoyed the fact that almost the second we've queued up, we've gone into game.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't always lead to the best, pairing of individuals, but I would like a little bit of an emphasis on faster queue time. I don't think you're always going to have problems with matchmaking no matter what. It's never going to.
Yeah, you are. And it's not like, I'm advocating 30-minute queues in Gold League.
No.
Right?
Thank you for that, by the way.
But, like...
My primary residence is Gold League.
I will, I think, I don't know, I haven't had a huge amount of complaints of matchmaking system, but I recognize the fact that the games that I tell people about, the games I remember, the games I'm hyped about are the ones where it was close. And there were, like, 3 or 4 team fights that, like, swung it back and forth. Or, okay, yeah, we were ahead the whole time, but they were right on our heels, and they were always taking forts, and they were pushing objectives. And it's like, if I get in a minute faster into a game that's just 12 minutes of we know who's going to win, that's not worth it to me. And sometimes you just like you get an evenly matched player and you just like, oh, it's it's Blackheart's Bay and you got an advantage and you're going to camp the rest of the game and it's over. And it's like, yeah, sometimes it just happens. And so I'm not like, I don't expect their matchmaking to exclude stomps from the rest of eternity. But
yeah. But yeah. That's matchmaking in a little nutshell there. You can let us know what you think of matchmaking. Let us know on Twitter at Heroes Power Hour, or let us know in the comments on YouTube and on the Blissful website. Anyway,
I just want to throw in, we brought it up because it's being talked about so much.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm happy waiting another couple of weeks. I think it's going to sort itself out just because when you have these kind of promotions, you're going to have 4 weeks of players who have no real interest in the game and they're just there. And if
they're interested, but they're just not good.
That too, that's fine. But you're going to get a mix of both of those. So when you're playing, you're going to end up in a bad game. It sucks, but let's see if it continues to happen.
Yeah.
Before we jump off a cliff about MMR.
Exactly. But we did want to move on and talk a little bit about HGC as it is starting to come to its conclusion for the first half. We finally had our playoffs for the teams between the 2nd and 6th seed in each region. We did have spoilers, but I'd be surprised if you care about spoilers a week later. But Team 8 was able to secure the 2nd spot in the mid-season brawl, as well as Dignitas in EU. I'm just going to come out and say it, and B-Step was the biggest disappointment of the playoffs, I think. I mean, what do you guys think?
I just want to say about this. For like 2 years, people have talked about King Calf Zero Pool. When it comes to a tournament and he plays one tank the entire time. Game 1, King Calf was on Muradin. They beat Team Freedom. The next 3 games, Team Freedom first banned Muradin. And King Calf did not look good on Tyrael.
That is winning in the draft. I mean, that's seriously, like, that's something you don't see a lot of, like, in here HGC. I don't see a lot of, like, respect bans or, strategy bans. I see meta bans.
Yeah, so we did see it a little bit against Glaurung back when he was on Denial and stuff like that, I feel like.
In HGC.
When there was the same thing, when Glaurung had 2 heroes he could play, you
banned Zeratul or you banned Medivh.
I guess that kind of happened when the wheels kind of like came off Expert a little bit. I mean, I don't think Expert's a bad team by any stretch. I think they're
I think they're good
EU teams, but like they looked downright like out of nowhere world beaters, and then people started banning Medivh, and that was like, okay, our Medivh stuff is gonna have to go aside. We'll have to reevaluate how we play games now.
Yeah. Just I guess overall, what do you guys think of the playoffs and the format? And the quality of games overall.
I'll go
liked
real
it.
quick. Just
Go ahead.
Just because I didn't watch and I only have one thought, I'm very happy a team like Team came up and grabbed it. That's good for views. That's good for storyline. That's good for the tournament. It keeps complacent teams honest in the NA. I think it's a great story.
I think my favorite thing about Team 8 qualifying for the mid-season brawl is it continues their storyline from the mid-season clash, where they were the only NA team to take a game off of an EU team.
Careful, you're gonna trigger Carl.
Doesn't mean anything, Willie.
It doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean NA's good.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, it's changed. It's changed. It's gone from it doesn't mean anything to it doesn't mean
No,
NA's good.
his original stance was it doesn't mean NA is good.
That's exactly what my original stance was.
Oh,
Keep
was it?
trying to argue this is a good showing from NA because they took one game from EU out of 13.
We need a klaxon for Carl whenever we bring that up.
Yeah. And the other
trigger warning. Trigger warning.
The other thing I wanted to comment on is I felt like Gale Force was completely unprepared for Team 8. I don't know. I don't know what happened with that. Obviously, we got the news today. If you haven't been paying attention to Twitter, they dropped Equinox and Crowan. So
Crowan's stepping down to a sub role.
Yes, but he's also looking for a team. Yeah.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
I don't think he wants to be second fiddle. He's way too good of a player to just be on the bench.
See, well, the way the announcement, and I guess just because I read, I thought it meant he had something going on in real life he had to take care of for a little while and was going to kind of stay on, but couldn't be there like he needed to be for a league setting. But if he's looking,
that's kind of what it looked like. And then he tweeted, "Hey, I'm looking for a team."
Yeah, yeah. It's been a crazy day on Twitter, by the way. We're not going to get into that because we have way more other stuff to talk about.
NA Hot's Twitter.
But NA Hot's Twitter. Yeah, the game they took, the second map that they took was kind of cute with the Sylvanas Vikings play.
That was so stupid. I'm sitting there, I'm watching the Vikings and Sylvanas they just pushed bot and that was it. That's all they did.
Yeah, that was literally it.
To be fair, game one, I don't know how long it was, but say it was a 20-minute game.
They almost won.
Gale Force was winning 19 minutes of that game.
Oh yeah, they were.
It was one horrible fight and at the top shrine on Infernal Shrines, and Team 8 just won it off the back of that. I didn't think they could pull it off. I thought they were going to have to back.
And Team GFE was up 20s against 18s or something.
Yeah, 19s.
Yeah.
It was close. But I mean, it's kind of irrelevant. They don't have 20s, so it could have been 17s or whatever. But that was a Rex Grossman level throw.
Oh my gosh.
You think 5.5 in the game?
I don't know. I think
it was like 7
Gale Force. I don't know that they were poised to kick people, and that's why they played bad. But I think they knew they wanted to make changes, and they wanted to get scrims in with the new team as soon as possible. So they just they released the two, and didn't want to waste any time before the second season starts up.
Yep.
So
now I will fully admit okay, I can kind of see why you'd remove Equinox. I guess he's one of my favorite pro players. I'm not gonna lie. I'm an Equinox fan. But Corrin being kicked is a little confusing to me. I don't know what the thought process was behind that.
Yeah, and maybe him making that bet and losing his hair was just too much.
I made the joke on Twitter to see if Mike Udall and Corrin were gonna suffer the same fate as Samson in the Bible. With losing their hair,
oh my gosh,
their power.
Yeah.
Apparently, the answer was yes.
There we go. There you have it. That's all it takes.
They removed their Gale Force sponsorship. That's for sure.
I thought Crone was a really good player on that team.
Yeah,
but
I think so too.
If you just have three that are have strong synergy and want to stick together, then I guess that's what you stick with.
Yeah. We'll see who they pick up, though. It's going to be a crazy offseason. I mean, if the number 3 team in the region immediately drops 2 players the second the game the season ends. Oh my gosh, it's just it blows my mind. But we do have some more heroes this weekend. We're not quite done yet. The midseason brawl is in a couple weeks, but we do have the Crucible finally happening, and it should be pretty exciting. We have in North America Naventic versus Inboard Support, and No Tomorrow versus Even in Death. This is going to be interesting. I've heard some things about Naventic, and they might be losing. They might be losing this.
I need Naventic to win this. I need them to stay in the HGC. I have gotten so used to crapping on them for being in the HGC that I'm gonna feel so weird that if they lose, like, who am I gonna poop on? Like, who am I gonna trash talk on Twitter and like get their team owner and their team Twitter to like the toddler fight pit, like their team Twitter and their CEO like ended up liking that. Like, I hunger for that. Like, what was it like? Kenma was joking around about or talking about drafting, or like whoever drafts best wins, and I just like shot back at him. Has that been your guys' problem? And he's like, well, that and first picking, and I'm like, what? And Jimmy even called his response. He's like, you're gonna get him started on first picking.
So what happens? Question.
Yes.
They lose. Let's say they lose to Imported Support. Can Kenma and Zuna show up on Gale Force?
Probably.
I don't see why not.
I don't think.
I don't see why not. But why would you?
Well, that's what I'm like. But
let's not go through why. It is possible.
It is possible.
Yeah, it is possible.
Like,
that's
teams
kind of
have
a
the
dumb
ability
rule.
to
Like, why
change
would
their
you
roster.
allow that? Like, if someone gets bounced out in the Crucible, it feels like they're cheating if they end up on another team. You know?
Yeah, but like, that's just a bad decision by Gale Force if you just pick up 2 guys who got relegated.
I suppose, but you could make
Like,
the argument for synergy was bad. You might be picking up 2 quality players in comparison. I don't know.
I don't think I think Corrin and Equinox are better players than Zuna and Kenma.
I do
And
too.
Kenma plays support anyways, but like, it's just you're relegating the team as a whole. Now you're not saying you 5 players are banned from the HGC for the next 6 months because you're bad.
I know, but it just feels like, okay, let's take Gale Force out of it. What if a team in like that just missed the cut of the Crucible gets a team who bounces out 2 best players, or whatever, things like that.
You could,
This Crucible.
Wait, what?
Charlie, is your question post Crucible?
Yeah, you say like if Team Freedom picks up, Tomster or whatever. Is Tomster still in Naventic?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can make that decision. Players get hired from not the HGC all the time, and they're now not in the HGC if they get relegated.
It feels, and this is me comparing it to real sports, I guess. It's like if the old Colts didn't make the playoffs, but a team without a quarterback did, and they were like, yeah, and we're signing Peyton Manning going into the first round, by the way, because we need that.
Oh my goodness.
It'd be more like they signed Peyton Manning going into the next season, not the playoffs.
I guess, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm going to take the unpopular opinion. I think that players from relegated teams should be forced to play in the open. Like, I don't think they should be eligible to be signed by current HGC teams.
I think that's too strict a regulation. You've already relegated the team.
That's why I say it's an unpopular opinion. Like, it makes sense, but nobody's going to agree with me.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay.
Hey, no. Yeah, I pulled us down. This. Move on.
Let's give our predictions though. Is a team going to get relegated in the Crucible, do you think? And if I had to guess, I would think No Tomorrow, actually, because the roster of Even in Death, Hound Wind, Frozen X, Battery, Homicidal, and Lutano are all really good players. 3/5 of them have been on professional teams in their career. So I feel like that that's going to be the series to watch. And it is a best of 7, so it could get really crazy for all we know. I'm excited to see these games this weekend.
I think Synergy's gone.
Yeah, I think. I wait. Did you just state that you thought B Geniuses was going to stay in?
I'm saying I think Synergy's gone for sure. I think B Genius has a good chance to survive.
Yeah, I think B Genius
definitely staying.
I don't think Niantic. I don't think imported support beats Niantic. I think Niantic just steamrolls them.
Yeah.
I don't think it's even going to be close. I think it's going to be a 4-0. Niantic's going to play angry, and then Zuna and Kim are going to get bopped.
They're going to see the HGC paycheck and be like, we can't not have that.
I think Synergy is the one most likely to get relegated. Niantic's No Tomorrow is I mean, they're not great, but they're okay. I think B Genius is decent. They're more like a 6th place team right now. Synergy just looks bad. I don't know anything about these 4 teams other than I recognize the names for Frozen X and a couple of those. Mm-hmm. But it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, the other thing is the open playoffs. I didn't get to watch them, but I was surprised that LFM and UTA both didn't make it to the Crucible, and that makes me really question if any of these teams can actually push it over the top and beat either the bottom 2 teams from NA. But yeah, EU is going to be interesting, and I wouldn't be so sure about B Genius. It's Team Gang. I don't know why they have that name, but that's what they are. But one of the players is BKB. I don't know how you pronounce it, but he used to be on. He's been on a billion teams. VP, TL. So I mean, it's not like they're some slouch team, and I'm really interested to see EU because I haven't watched any EU Open.
Has really upped their play in the last couple of weeks. They got the one win. We're like, oh yeah, they finally got their one win that they're going to get this season, and then they kept winning. And I think they're going to roll swap.
And I don't think it's a coincidence that a lot of this is all taking place the week 2.0 went live in HGC. There was a lot of changes to heroes through that patch, and
yeah.
I mean, maybe that's why some of the open teams fell. To your point, Jimmy. I mean, it's just different. The game is different now. The drafting is different. The heroes that are good are different. Mm-hmm. I mean,
Tassar is non-existent now.
Yeah.
Which is weird to me because he's not. He's still not bad. He's still just fine.
You know who kind of mitigates damage and gives better heals now, though?
Uther.
So, I mean, I think that's part of why Tassadar has disappeared a bit, but it is surreal to watch considering he was first pick, first ban pretty much all throughout the first part, and going into the second part, it was still like that. But
yeah,
I think half of it is the teams were so tired of shield meta. The first time they saw this is kind of okay and it isn't shield meta, they were like, yes, I want to play that. Because pretty much like 3 times a week you get some pro tweeting out shield meta in 6 Zs.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I guess overall, I think the only team that's really in danger of losing Crucible, I'm going to agree with you guys and say Synergy.
Synergy going by. Powerhour call.
And then if you think differently,
I really think Synergy's the one that's going to go if any of them go. I think there's a good chance none of them go, though.
It makes me sad because wasn't Synergy stocked with 2 or 3 players from Navi? When Navi was around, I'm pretty sure they were. And I'll fully admit it's a holdover from Dota 2. I'm a Navi fanboy.
You're allowed to be a Navi fanboy.
Yeah.
Dendy's so cute.
If there was an evil genius team, I would be.
There was an EG team,
but
Idra was on it, and nothing.
They were good enough to get a mount in a game.
They were. Remember, I only buy mounts of dead teams.
Yeah.
There you go. You bought ballistics?
Yeah.
Technically, they're still alive because it's L5.
But they're not ballistics.
Yeah, but yeah, next week we'll talk more about the mid-season brawl, which should be really, or what is it called? Not mid-season brawl. I don't know. Not the Crucible. The
mid-season.
No, it is the
Mid-season
mid-season brawl.
Okay, it is mid-season
Right?
brawl. Too
It's
many
like
names.
a Western Clash
Yeah.
mid-season
Okay.
brawl.
Western Clash mid-season brawl. Where
I'm gonna look right
Kriya
now,
will
guys.
destroy people. Anyways, any
It's
closing
mid-season brawl.
thoughts before we close out the show? It's been a chaotic show, but I've enjoyed it. I'm glad to be back. I think you guys are all glad to be back.
I mean, I just think this is going to be an exciting week to watch for HGC, and it's the Crucible. It's backs against the wall for these teams. So
And they're best of sevens.
Must watch esports.
We could get 7 games out of these, maybe.
That would be insane. That could take you could be watching Naventic play for 5 hours if it went 7 games.
Charlie,
Willie's dream.
Overestimate how long Heroes of the Storm games take.
What was that? Sorry, I
think you overestimate how long Heroes of the Storm games take.
No,
no.
I think you're underestimating how long it takes to transition from draft to actual game to post-game analysis to next draft.
Don't
That
forget
is that
don't
process
forget those
alone.
commercials.
Yeah, I got to get that gear
And
commercial.
how you're never gonna win when I come out because I'm gonna reach the top.
Yeah. Ohio Blizzard Storm.
Ohio Blizzard. Oh,
Ohio.
my
I
goodness.
hate that song. Find a new song.
Dude,
It's not even relevant to
Stop.
Blizzard gear.
Oh, it's so good. Every time I
Okay.
just start clapping and then the chat
Now-
just erupts in Ohio's. I love every second of it. It's one of my favorite parts.
Speaking of chat, how about our new meme overlord, Cathan Luck?
Third guy, you mean?
Yes.
The third guy.
Third guy?
What happened? I missed a meme lord?
You missed it? Okay.
Yeah, just
I
mean,
told you,
he was on the desk for EU and NA, and he was on the right, and people kept asking like, "Who's the third guy?" And then it would like talk about him, like, "Oh, third guy said this, and third guy said that," and then it just
It became a
erupted.
thing. The best part was Blizzard implemented a command. You could do !third guy, and it said Cathan Luck is the third analyst for these games, is a member of Tempo Storm, and all this stuff. It was wonderful. It was great.
And then I think Sunday they like little like nameplates below them all for EU. They did first guy, second guy, third guy for Trixler, Caldor, and Cotton instead of their actual like tags.
Yeah.
that is amazing.
There's a
Oh, man.
screenshot of it. Well, we'll have to find it for you, but yeah, it's something magical. Like that played out way better, and I'm glad Blizzard has fun with stuff like that. Like that's just perfect.
It even happened in our Skype chat. Like Elena asked, like, "Who's the guy on the right?" And you remember, like, "Oh, it's third guy." She goes, "Yeah, the third guy. Who's that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, third guy." No, the one in the pink tie. Yeah, third guy.
Yeah, it's the third guy. Like, why are you not understanding this? It's the third guy.
That is excellent.
Oh my goodness, it was great though. But yeah, closing thoughts, Zex. Where can people find you and your wonderful speedruns?
You can find me at twitch.tv/ZexorusHeroes. I speedrun Phantasy Star 4 games in the morning, and sometimes I'll play HOTS afterwards if I get sufficiently frustrated at the RNG that brutal game throws at me at times, or maybe I'll do something stupid like play Tree of Savior. I don't know. It's just give me your bits.
There you go. P Flame G, how about you? Where can people find you? What are you up to this week?
I'm not. I don't know. I don't stream much. I just graduated with bachelor's in electrical engineering.
That's awesome.
Nerd.
Yeah, I am a nerd. I'm working an internship this summer, which is why I have a polo on, and my background changed. But I don't know. I occasionally retweet Blizzbro things. If you want to follow my Twitter, that's about all it does.
Did you get an internship at a sewing studio?
A what?
A sewing studio?
No. I got an internship at Raytheon, and my mom likes to sew.
Ah.
I'm living with my parents this summer.
What's funny about Raytheon is, so I visited my parents in Virginia a few weeks, like last week, and you can see the Raytheon building when you fly into LAX and when you fly into DC. So there's Raytheon buildings all over the country, apparently.
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
It's a pretty
yeah.
big company.
Yeah, it's huge. Anyways, Powerhour fan, where can people find you on the interwebs?
Oh, pretty much. Yeah, my Twitter is the best place to get a hold of me. I watch that all the time. haven't been streaming as much. Just haven't felt like streaming. I don't know why.
I miss you running Shining Force.
I know.
You need to do that again.
I can only focus on so many things, and right now it's Heroes. And
how dare you?
But last month it was Hearthstone, and I've got my game. I usually have 2 games, like my project game that I want to do accomplishments in. Then my game where it's just for me and no one bothers me while I'm playing it. Like those are my 2 modes. So
yeah,
like I can really only handle 1 game in each box at a time. So like Shining Force was making me just not do anything else.
Yeah,
and that wasn't really where I wanted to be as a gamer. So
okay.
But yeah. Anyways, to answer your question, the Twitter thing. If you got questions or you want to play games or anything,
definitely.
That's it.
Same thing for me at DJ Tyrant on Twitch and Twitter. Make sure if you're listening to the audio version, if you could put in a review on iTunes, 5-star review would really help us out, and we would really appreciate it. If you're looking for old episodes and you're watching this live, you can check them all out at youtube.com/BlizzRow, including the infamous Illidan episode with Twiz, our good friend. But yeah, I think that's about it. We're going to check us out all during the week at discord.blizzrow.com, at Heroes Power on Twitter, and all our Twitter accounts are on the screen there for you to check out. But that's going to be it for episode 102 of the Heroes Power. We will see you next week, and stay tight.